Hi, Mandy Sackett on behalf of the Surfrider Foundation, the Environmental Action Committee of Marin County, and the California Coastal Protection Network. We really appreciate staff for releasing this excellent guidance with climate change and sea level rise projections increasing all the time, and the stark picture painted by the recent 6th IPCC climate change report. It's clear that planning for critical infrastructure resilience must be an immediate priority. The California coastline is lined with stormwater and wastewater infrastructure, power plants, hazardous waste sites, roads, and other facilities. And we have this narrow window of opportunity now to proactively plan and relocate as much as we can away from the coastal hazard zones in order to preserve our coasts, our beaches, and our waves. This guidance helps municipalities plan in a way that protects our coastline and recreational opportunities at the beach, as well as our coastal economy and our way of life here in California. So first, we'd like to just express our appreciation that the draft guidance stresses the importance of analyzing the extreme risk scenario, 10 feet or more of sea level rise by 2100. This is essential for communities to have this understanding of how we would respond under this enormously disastrous scenario. We also appreciate that the document considers realistic environmental justice impacts to communities, as well as the need to implement more nature-based strategies. We'd like to take this opportunity to ask staff to more clearly emphasize the need to avoid siting critical infrastructure in coastal hazard zones. We wouldn't put a power plant on a fault line, and the commissions should feel comfortable in explicitly stating that the sources of California's power and water, for example, cannot be located in a flood zone. And we'd also like to express with some caution with regards to the phase adaptation approach that's outlined in the document. It specifically expresses understanding the potential need to rely on shoreline armoring as an interim approach to management. And Surfrider knows from decades of experience that once shoreline armoring is in place, it's rarely removed. And as sea levels rise, it becomes more and more difficult to imagine how these seawalls and armoring would be removed as the coast disappears. And then finally, support staff in further updating the document to encourage local governments to evaluate potential secondary environmental justice implications associated with groundwater rise and legacy contamination. As I mentioned, desalination plants like Poseidon, for instance, should be proactively planning and identifying areas of potential contamination and managing the impact to communities around them. The end game in California must be managed retreat, otherwise we'll be stuck in disaster response mode with unmanaged retreat, and failing to plan is planning to fail. So citing critical infrastructure with coastal hazard zone within coastal hazard zone to perpetuate maladaptive development patterns. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And next is Laura Walsh. Laura, it is now your turn. Oh, hello.
Good morning. It sounds like you can hear me. My name is Laura Walsh, and I'm the policy coordinator for the Surfrider Foundation San Diego County chapter. There's already been some really great discussion about sea level rise planning today, so I'll be super brief, but I just wanted to paint a picture of how this kind of guidance is important to us regionally. According to California's 4th climate assessment, examples of vulnerable infrastructure can be found all across our county. In SDG&E's electrical infrastructure around San Diego Bay, the Port of San Diego's waterfront property, Highway 101, the coastal rail corridor in Del Mar, and Naval Base Coronado, just to name a few well-known examples. While sea level rise presents many challenges, particularly in the context of private property, every city in San Diego and every member of the public, whether they own a coastal home or not, and even whether or not they enjoy the coast, benefits from a thoughtful response to public infrastructure management. Responsible management will keep the lights on and the tap water running. So with that, I just want to express support for the document. I'm echoing Mandy in supporting the Commission in taking a strong stance on the need to explicitly and proactively respond to sea level rise, and to reiterate the point about phased adaptation approaches being a dangerous concept in the context of shoreline armoring as an interim solution. Even now, we still have some chance to be proactive about managing our retreat from the coastline, and we see cities like Del Mar formally rejecting this option just completely. So there's very little clarity around how armoring solutions will suddenly lead to adaptive management, and yet decades of history and experience to tell us that armoring instead will protect private property and other property while eroding public beaches and blocking coastal access. And like we learned today about groundwater, these solutions with these huge high externalities may not even result in adequate protection for infrastructure. So just appreciate the commission in embarking on this effort and agendizing it today, and look forward to addressing these tough challenges involved in this update as your staff continues to work on this document. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And our final speaker is